I have to admit to you guys, I am super excited about this upcoming Silverado. The last time we got a redesigned pickup truck was back in 2023, which was the Ford Super Duty. Since then, we've gotten refreshes, but this is the first time we're seeing a new pickup. So for 2027, Chevy Silverado is getting completely redesigned inside and out. And we should hear something soon about the Sierra, which will probably follow within a couple weeks maybe. Now, with that being said, I have the top 10 updates we know so far about this truck. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Now, if you would like to get on the list to order one of these Silverados, Chevrolet did give me confirmation that they're going to do special pricing for 10 spots. I have not reached out to them since I've done these videos, so just text the number here to see if they still have available spots. And let's go ahead and jump into the video. Number one on my list is the custom trim level now has an updated interior. So most of you guys know that when GM refreshed this truck back in 2022, I believe it was, they did not do anything for the interior for the work truck in custom trim levels. So they had the old tired interior from 2019. It was like a work truck interior, and it just did not work well in my opinion, competing against the Ram trucks. Even I would say Toyota and Ford too just were far ahead of this custom trim level. And for 2027, every Silverado gets the same screens. So the passenger screen, I think, is a 12.2, and then you have your center screen, which is a 16.3. So now it's kind of like a money grab, I'll be honest, because now everyone gets the same screen. So when you get to higher trim levels, it's almost like it doesn't make sense because now these entry-level trim levels are getting the same content basically. So this is a really good move on GM's part. So if you're not looking to go into those higher trim levels, I think the custom is the perfect one. Now the second point, obviously we got to talk about engines here. One thing I like about GM is they continued to offer V8s. This is a big deal for me because most of you know the Nissan Titan is gone and it was still using the 5.6 liter V8 that it had, right? And then Ram decided to get rid of their V8 and then they brought it back. Ford still offers a V8, but let's be honest, it's really hard to find those trucks and you only can get it in specific trim levels. Lastly, Toyota had probably one of the best reliable V8s at the time, the 5.7, and they decided to kill off their V8 too. So GM has gone strong with their 5.3 and 6.2. Despite their issues, I get it, despite the issues, it looks like the new 5.7 and 6.6 that they're going to be offering are going to be far superior to those engines. So that was my second point, which is basically new V8 engines with more performance. So they've pretty much said that they're going to have more power. So I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 horsepower for the 5.7 and then 475 to 500 for the 6.6. Number three, they are putting the 10-speed transmission behind all engines. Now, why is this important? This is just my opinion, but I believe that the reason why they used the 8-speed behind the Duramax was because the 8-speed was pretty much bulletproof. I haven't heard of any issues with that transmission. Now, the 10-speed is probably getting some updates to it, right? They're probably gonna make it more reliable because they're putting it behind its most important powertrain. Most people looking to get into pickup trucks are probably gonna buy the Duramax, and now they're putting the 10-speed behind it, which should help with fuel economy. And I think reliability is gonna be better too. Now, the fourth point on my list, this is an update that in my opinion is probably the most important one because it does help with the interior. So the column shifter is now standard on all trim levels. In the past, if you wanted a column shifter, you had to get a 6-passenger configuration. Now with that center console, you have more space, and they actually did do some updates, which we'll discuss here in a second. Up next is big tires. For number 5, we now have big tires for the off-roaders. This has probably been the biggest complaint I've had. Because of the price of these trucks, most guys just want to get a turnkey pickup without having to do anything to it. So if you're someone in the market for a pickup and you don't want to necessarily have to go out and buy tires on your brand new truck, GM is now offering 34s for the Trail Boss and 35s for the ZR2. We don't know the actual specs on the tires, but hopefully really soon we'll get some information on that. Number 6. This is going to be controversial because not a lot of people like the big hole in the roof, right? Not everybody cares for that. So panoramic sunroof is coming to a Silverado near you. And this is good news because the Toyota Tundra has one, the Ram 1500 does, the Ford F-150 I think was the first truck to get one. And now GM trucks are now a part of this conversation now. They don't have that little tiny sunroof on their pickup trucks, and they cost about the same as the competition. So that is the point I think that makes me happy, because I don't mind having sunroofs. I use my sunroofs almost every day in the summertime, because if you open up that back window and vent your sunroof, you don't have to have AC. At least here in Utah, because it's so dry, it actually gives me enough air to keep me nice and comfortable inside the truck without having to blast my AC. Number 7, American Expedition vehicle will be available for the next generation Silverado. This is a big deal because I was a little concerned that they were probably going to X this package, because I didn't see a lot of those AV editions for the 25 and 26 model year. I think I might have done maybe 1 or 2 reviews. And so for me personally, I thought it's an expensive package, and a lot of people aren't really going off-road to the extent that they need to buy these expensive steel skid plates. And that's the other thing, it kills the payload. I've seen these trucks with less than 1,000 pounds of payload because of those heavy skid plates, bumpers, things like that. But what's nice about the AV edition is you do get that winch-capable front bumper. You can add lights in the back bumper, and the truck just looks really, really cool. And you get the AEV wheels, which do give you better protection if you're rock crawling. Here's another killer for the higher trim levels: standard premium lighting. Most of you guys know if you were getting a custom trim level or of course a work truck, you did not get LED lights. You had to move over to the GMC Sierra to get premium lighting standard. For the 2027 Chevy Silverado, that's not the case. So now, not only do you get the big screens on the front, you also get the premium lighting too. So this does play into, do you really need to spend the extra money for the higher trim levels? You are getting a little bit more premium interior and nicer features and appointments, but is it worth the extra $20,000 to $30,000 you could be potentially spending? Number 9, we are getting down to the wire here. So this one is very important to me for the exterior. Fender flares. Every Silverado that I've seen now has fender flares. On that custom trim, it gives it a really nice appearance. Imagine someone who is buying this truck, right? And they want to lift it and put bigger wheels and tires on it. I like the look of a truck with fender flares on it. It just gives it more of an upscale look. And I think I know this because as a kid, my mom had a 1999 Toyota 4Runner Limited. And I remember when she was looking at 4Runners, the ones that didn't have fender flares just didn't look right. But then the ones that did have them did look really nice, especially the Limited, because they were painted. They made the truck look a little bit buffer. And I just like fender flares. I think they make a truck, especially when you go back to the 2022 and earlier Ford Super Duties. The trimmers had the fender flares, and I just think it made the truck look really nice. Now, last thing we're going to discuss, this is probably something that a lot of people are going to really be excited for, because I really hit on Ram hard with this. They have the best center console. Now, for the 2027 Chevy Silverado, this is my 10th point. They now have a Multiflex center console. I'm going to show you guys an animation here, but this is probably the main reason why I find it really hard to really organize in my GM truck. When I had my Ram, I had a center console that had storage above, and then I had a deeper one below, and then I had that center storage that would slide with some extra storage, and then on the front there was more storage, so I could actually just put things more neatly in the center console. Whereas with the GM trucks for 2026 and earlier, they're just not as good. So I can't wait to see how well they did their Multiflex center console. I'm really excited to see it. And I think that that will be a good addition to this truck. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. The next video I do, I'm scheduled to do this probably today, but we're going to talk about a few things that we don't know yet. And I'm hoping that GM does fix on these trucks. One of the biggest things I'll mention right now is the wax coating. Even though I don't mind the wax coating, it is a chore to keep up. Like, you have to do a lot more maintenance with wax coating personally. And obviously, if you work on your own truck, it is dirtier. So I'm hoping that they do e-coat the frame. So just kind of give you guys a look into that next video here. It should be really good. See you guys soon.